So let us begin our discussion on dural venous sinuses. So as the name suggests, it is a venous circulation of the brain, okay? And before it, the name dura is there, so it is located in the dura mater, okay? So the venous supply of brain is basically located in the dura mater of the brain, dura mater of the skull. What is its function? Its function is basically to drain the blood of the brain and give it to the internal jugular vein. Okay, so internal jugular vein finally will again give this blood to the heart. Okay, for again to get it oxygenated, deoxygenated, their part is there. But this dural venous sinus, their part is only to collect all the deoxygenated blood from the brain and to give it to the internal jugular vein. So basically here we need to understand the meaning of dural venous sinus, which I already told you, then its various characteristics and structures, then the anatomy of cavernous sinus. We need to understand it in very detail because cavernous sinus again comes as a short note. Dural venous sinus comes as a short note, cavernous sinus also comes as a short note. Cavernous sinus is a part of dural venous sinus. Then we need to just know the names of the major and the minor sinuses, that is the sagittal, transverse and sigmoid sinuses. And finally we need to understand what is our sagittal sinus thrombosis and AB fistula, arteriovenous fistula. See, these are various venous channels located in the dura mater and they finally drain the blood to the internal jugular vein, which is located in the jugular foramen. I guess you have been shown in the osteology classes, the jugular foramen. Now, that is though the blood is going to the extracranial level or the outside, but alongside also the extracranial blood goes through the emissary veins. Not that much important. Now, they are basically formed in two ways. One is in between the two layers of dura mater and by reduplication of the meningeal layer. Suppose one meninges comes like this and it gets duplicated. So a fold appears. We will come to know this. Falx cerebri, tentorium cerebelli, these things are there. So here these venous sinuses are located. Key features, so it will not have any muscle layer, it will not have any valve, okay. So, and they will be lined by endothelium and they receive venous blood as well as some amount of CSF. Now these are the various 21 sinuses which we need to know. Among them 7 are paired and 7 are unpaired, okay. This is written in your book also. So the paired sinus are your cavernous sinus, superior petrosal sinus, inferior petrosal sinus, then your transverse sinus, sigmoid sinus, sphenoparietal sinus, petrosquamous sinus. Unpaired one is your superior sagittal sinus, inferior sagittal sinus, then your straight sinus, occipital sinus, anterior posterior intercavernous sinus, basilar venous plexus. I will show you the picture to make you understand. See, before going to this cavernous sinus anatomy, let us just see this structure. See, this is the whole venous supply of the brain, okay. This blue structure together forming the venous drainage of the brain. Here in the falx cerebri, this is the falx cerebri, this white part demonstrates the falx cerebri. Here you can see the superior sagittal sinus above. So that is basically your superior sagittal sinus. See, this is the superior sagittal sinus, okay. Inferiorly you have the inferior sagittal sinus. This inferior sagittal sinus along with this vein of Galen, this is called as vein of Galen. Along this they together form the straight sinus, okay. So this is the straight sinus. As you can see, this is straight. So this is straight sinus, this is superior sagittal sinus, this is your inferior sagittal sinus. Together here you can see the transverse sinus. Transverse sinus on either side, we talked about it that it is in pair. So this is the transverse sinus. Here you can see a S-shaped band, that is your sigmoid sinus. In our body, whenever you can see one S-shaped band, we call it sigmoid. For example, sigmoid colon. Here we have the sigmoid sinus. And a knee-shaped band, we call it genu. Okay. So this is your sigmoid sinus. Now this sigmoid sinus finally drains into your internal jugular vein. Okay. So that is the whole structure of your venous supply of the brain. In front also you can see this part. This is your cavernous sinus. This part is your cavernous sinus. And anteriorly though you have some other structures which are not that much important from exam point of view. That is your superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein and so on. Okay. Together all of them is forming the venous drainage of the brain. Arterial supply we have already talked about in other classes, circle of Willis, and I also talked about how blood, through various arteries goes into the brain via vertebral artery, basilar artery, so on. Now this is the venous drainage of the brain. Now let us go back to the cavernous sinus. See, this picture I have put just to make you orient that how this cavernous sinus is located. See, when you open the skull, that is how it appears. Okay, this is your superior sagittal sinus. Inferior sagittal sinus you cannot appreciate, but here is your, this part you can see, this is the cut portion of your inferior sagittal sinus. Inferior sagittal sinus is located like this. Okay, this is your transverse sinus, straight sinus, sigmoid sinus. This is the sigmoid sinus finally draining into the internal jugular vein. Okay, so this jugular foramen. Now see the cavernous sinus in proper. All this blue structure is forming the cavernous sinus, and you can see one cavernous sinus on each side. So there are two cavernous sinus, so they are located in pairs. Now going straight into the main thing. This cavernous sinus has many major nerve supply. Okay. Among them, in the flesh of the cavernous sinus, we have the sixth cranial nerve. See, this is the sixth cranial nerve. This sixth cranial nerve is located in the main, matter of the main flesh of the cavernous sinus. Okay. And in the adjacent lateral wall, you have some other nerves. One is your oculomotor nerve, then you have the trochlear nerve, then you have the ophthalmic nerve, and you have the maxillary nerve. So ophthalmic nerve is a branch of trigeminal nerve. Maxillary nerve is a branch of trigeminal nerve. So ophthalmic nerve is the first branch of your trigeminal nerve. So we usually represent it as V1. Okay, not V1, 5-1. Okay, because in Roman, trigeminal nerve is fifth cranial nerve, so we write it V and give 1 to make it ophthalmic nerve. Okay, so don't confuse it with optic nerve. Optic nerve is cranial nerve 2. Ophthalmic nerve is cranial nerve 5 part. Then we also have the maxillary nerve. And inferiorly, we have the sphenoid sinus and the sphenoid bone. This is the sphenoid bone having this sphenoid sinus. Here we have the nasopharynx also. This part is basically your hypophysis, or it contains the pituitary gland. Okay, basically it is your sella turcica. So sella turcica is located just in between, in the medial wall of your cavernous sinus. Okay, and superiorly you have the optic chiasma. Okay, so why these structures are important? Because we need to know the relations of the cavernous sinus, and in exam you will be drawing this picture, this structure. Okay, in this way you will show the anatomy of cavernous sinus. So start practicing these diagrams from now. So before exam, try to make a diagram copy, and 5, 6, 7 or like 10 diagrams max to max are important from anatomy point of view, which you need to learn. Okay, those diagrams at least you keep yourself prepared, because this is non-negotiable. Okay, beyond that, some of the things, if you provide diagram, that gives you some extra marks. Okay, but these are some of the diagrams without which, for example, brachial plexus. Without the schematic diagram, it is of no use. Okay. Now, these are the various relations. Superiorly, we have already seen the optic chiasma, then your internal carotid artery and anterior perforating substance, and optic chiasma, so we will also be having the optic tract. Inferiorly, we have basically the sphenoid bone. Medially, we have the pituitary gland along with the sphenoid air sinus. and laterally we have the temporal lobe. Okay, anterior posterior is you have the superior orbital fissure, and posteriorly you have the crus cerebri. Now see this diagram again. So this is the optic chiasma. See, internal carotid artery. Can you appreciate this internal carotid artery? So internal carotid artery is also forming one of the relation with this cavernous sinus. Now I told you that there is one condition, arteriovenous fistula. What is a fistula? Fistula is a direct connection between artery and vein. What will happen? Blood will get mixed up. So a fistula appears in many places of our body. One of the places here, that is the cavernous sinus. Okay, how it appears? Suppose due to high pressure in the blood, high flow of blood, the internal carotid artery, or due to suppose any injury, any road traffic accident, the internal carotid artery got punctured. Okay, now after it got punctured, this blood flows into the cavernous sinus. So there is a connection between the artery and vein. Similarly, in the femoral vein also, sometimes femoral artery vein fistula happens. How it happens? While puncturing. Sometimes we form central line catheterization in some individuals where we cannot get peripheral veins. So for IV lines, for providing, in simple words, saline to the patient, we need peripheral veins. Okay. For example, median cubital vein. These things though we know. Now suppose you are not getting the vein because the person is in shock. Whenever the person is in shock, the veins will be collapsed. So you will not be able to appreciate the vein. Then we go through the femoral vein. And here, adjacent to the femoral vein, we also have the artery. Okay. Now, while puncturing the femoral vein, sometimes it gets punctured up to the artery, thus forming a fistula. So similarly, in the brain, we also get a fistula between the internal carotid artery and the cavernous sinus. Contents in the lateral wall, I already told you, and through it passes the 6th cranial nerve and the internal carotid artery. Location extent, you study. Cavernous sinus, tributaries and communications. So these are basically some of the connections of the cavernous sinus, which like you will not be able to like understand everything because I cannot show you all the structures properly, but try to understand that the cavernous sinus, where it is located, anteriorly you have the orbit. So it will drain the orbit, it will receive ophthalmic vein. Okay. Then from the meninges, it will get the sphenoparietal sinus. Then from brain, some other venous structures. So these are all the tributaries, their names are mentioned, they get drained into the cavernous sinus itself. Now they also form some communication. One of the major communication is your internal jugular vein. So these are the various communications that this cavernous sinus forms. Among them, this part is important, this facial vein via the superior ophthalmic vein and the angular vein. So basically, in our face, we have the dangerous area of the face surrounding this labia, our superior labia, then tip of the nose. This is the dangerous area of the face. So in some diabetic individuals, or even if due to nose pricking, sometimes this part gets injured. And if this portion, tip of the nose, if gets infected, this infection directly goes to the brain, to the cavernous sinus. We call it cavernous sinus thrombosis. Okay, cavernous sinus thrombosis. So whenever you will see that your parents or your grandparents, they are telling that their nose is getting swelled up, okay, swollen, and you suspect diabetes in those patients, you get themselves treated, because that is a very much risky sign. Okay, nose getting infected is not a good thing. It should be treated with antibiotics appropriately. It should not wait, because this infection, if goes to the brain via the superior ophthalmic vein and the facial vein, it can directly reach the cavernous sinus. So it will be a massacre situation. So this thing I have already told you. This picture I have shown. Now these are the individual superior sagittal veins where it is located. Basically it is located in the superior part of your Falx cerebri. Okay, this Falx cerebri is basically one of your dural fold. So the dura mater makes one fold in between the cerebrum and we call it Falx cerebri. On the superior portion you have this superior sagittal sinus. See it again. See, in front you have the crista galli here. From here this Falx cerebri begins and superiorly you have the superior sagittal sinus. Okay, and inferiorly you have the inferior sagittal sinus. That's all. Okay. And they can also undergo thrombosis in the similar manner. And the straight sinus, transverse sinus, all these things I have already told you. Sigmoid sinus I have already shown you. And sigmoid sinus can undergo sigmoid thrombosis, not that much important. And these are some other sinuses which you just need to know the names properly. Okay, just know the names and try to draw that diagram if possible. That is not a very important diagram, but if you provide that diagram, the examiner knows that you know all this structure. So even if you mention that where these sinuses are located, that will be sufficient. No need to write all these details. Okay, some 2-3 points will be sufficient because they are not going to come as a short note. Okay, you will not be asked what is a petrosal sinus. You may be asked dural venous sinuses or cavernous sinus as a short note, or the venous drainage of the whole brain. That can come as a question, and that too of 5 marks. Now finally, just a summary to show you the whole venous drainage, and that is the last slide. Here you can see the superior sagittal sinus. Then this superior sagittal sinus directly going into the confluence of sinus. What is this confluence of sinus? Confluence of sinus is that part of this venous supply which basically collects all this blood and finally drains into the internal jugular vein. Okay. So this superior sagittal sinus directly drains into the confluence of sinus. Inferior sagittal sinus through the straight sinus goes to the confluence of sinus, and cavernous sinus through superior and inferior petrosal sinus goes to the transverse sinus, and finally all of them drains into the internal jugular vein. Inferior petrosal sinus directly drains into the internal jugular vein. Superior petrosal sinus goes into the transverse sinus to sigmoid sinus, then to internal jugular vein. Let me show you the confluence again. It will be easy. See, this is the confluence. This is the confluence. Confluence means the path where all these sinuses come together. Okay. So if you see here, the superior sagittal sinus is draining into the confluence. Straight sinus is also draining into the confluence. Transverse sinus is also coming to the confluence. Okay. But this sigmoid sinus is not coming to the confluence. Okay. So together all of them finally gets drained into the internal jugular vein, and through this internal jugular vein it finally comes to the heart to get it oxygenated again. So the blood gets oxygenated again. Okay, that's all for your dural venous sinuses. Thank you.